Hello and welcome to another modelling video. This is Alan from the Man at YouTube. A Gundam video and a 3D printing project. The Automaton from Season 2 Gundam 00, utilised by the A-Laws. Very vicious and brutal AI independent drones used as kill squads to cleanse large groups of humans. A very unsettling and impactful aspect to the story, yet not covered via fan art, merchandise or discussion of the series. During 2016, at the height of my 3D printing works, I was approached by a subscriber and viewer with an STL file that he designed of the Automaton as an attempt to release as a garage kit or release to the community for 3D printing, where there was less 3D printers around. I wanted to undertake it out of the interest of being a Gundam program and a model designed and created by somebody else outside of my more CAD engineering background, and went straight to work. It was produced from my Upper Mini before it perished out of ABS PC filament, which is one of the rare materials that could only run through that particular and very cheap machine. Still fairly inexperienced, I printed it in the worst orientation, a few incidences and breakages, removed the supports, put it in a biscuit tin due to the difficulty of cleaning up, and forgotten about it for many years until 2021. For the gentleman who designed and sent me the files, thank you very much. I still love this project and have finished it. Unfortunately, I couldn't find your message or email as the files were on an older computer or social media, and would love to give you credit for the design of this project in the description. This model had the ambitious intent to be snap fit after printing and articulated among the walking legs and joints to the torso. With 3D printing in mind for the design, it was in many pieces so it could be printed flat with the supports removed, sanded and then assembled. Though there was a few hiccups that I did encounter, both from the machine I used at the time and just some of the parts not quite fitting, which would be tuned very easily. This was sorted by gluing the pieces together or filling the hollow bits with putty and pinning or permanently gluing all surfaces together. Any hole or chop off at the Z-axis was also filled with epoxy sculpting putty or milliput, two materials mixed together to form a very solid wood-like surface that's easily ground and sanded down to the flat surface of the plastic. The rest of the Z-axis of the material was covered with a thickened filler primer and sanded back. Earlier attempt was made with modelling putty, but this was generally a failure, to the reason why I abandoned it many years ago. The work process in the current day was to airbrush the filler primer on all surfaces, and very rough surfaces hand painted a thicker version, allow it to dry, sand it, do some sub-assembly, fill the gaps, and then airbrush and sand a second time. You'll see a few photos of montages of cases of marbled primer to plastic and then fully solid primer again. Where there was some rough detail in the joints where it was meant to be articulated, I added Codebakir aftermarket detailed joint parts. It'll be in one fixed pose, but it's going to just look a little more detailed and interesting. This is due to my lack of patience of willing to make it articulated and just sitting it as a static model. A quick note, dealing with a 5th plus generation 3D printer, the Ender series from Creality, to an older obscure 2nd, 3rd gen mini budget printer, I could see that the older one was very limited in its slicing software and its ability to process shapes in very wide mesh settings of large holes and all sorts of issues that were far more frustrating and difficult to fill. Being less knowledgeable on filling properties, putties and primers, and using all sorts of expensive modeling methods, it'll take me an immense amount of time to do something basic such as a small helmet or small Gundam part. I'm very happy to have gone through this long journey to reach this state of filling parts very quickly. The automaton is a very fascinating design, though suffers from a very basic shape, and for people who have not seen it before, generally looks like a extruded hexagon with walking legs, and it's difficult to tell where the front camera lens or weapons are acquired, and would be less interesting if painted. Referring back to the source original art, you'd see quite a bit of anime cell shaded highlights of a dark blue, and the only way to make it look interesting and just not a painted block is to be fancier with my paintwork. With experience of filling and processing 3D prints now and hiding all artifacts and Z-axis, and being fairly efficient with automotive filler primer, I wanted to achieve this instead of a traditional anime cell shade, many shades of metallic and a very deep reflective wet look gloss. With the help of my vast collection of metallic paints and getting my hands on a few shades from Zurich, I was able to achieve a very interesting tone of different silvers, blues, greys, metallic blacks and gunmetals by shading different lines in different parts through freehand spraying. There has been a practice over many years with the Honing Your Airbrush Skills video and doing very tight small spray patterns and shading upward in a gradient fashion from dark low points and a lighter colour high points. This was immensely a lot of fun and created all sorts of interesting tones across the model, yet still a bit on the simple and bland side. The detail is still very rich and very enjoyable, but push this a little further by having a weathered high gloss sheen model. A few paint chips here, a few streaks of dirt grime with running down streaks from certain detail, and sealed it a few more times with gloss and polished it up. For that tiny aspect of the dread and the horror displayed from the heartless action of the automaton in the anime, going around systematically annihilating what they came across, a lot of impersonal camera lenses need to be throughout, and this was done with diamond dotting or sticky back gemstones bought from a $2 shop and stuck throughout all the little holes throughout the model that would have just been painted in, and a large camera lens at the bottom. I found a nice gradient set with multiple shades of a magenta pink, and did the same thing, darker shades bottom, lighter shades top. I would give the whole model a polish with very fine sanding sponges and a few shades of a clear gloss to give a more intense sheen. The few final coats being watered down floor polish. I remembered watching Gundam 00 when it came out in the early 2010s, and it blew me away, though the animation has less than desired and it has aged not so good. I'm glad I didn't go with the straight drab anime cell shade colours and swapped for a lighter tone metallic instead, and heavily built up on that gloss. It is very different, though it has a personality of being sleek and quite powerful, yet worn and a piece or a weapon of destruction with that edging and the extra glows from the gemstones. I had an immense amount of fun, really enjoyed the design that was CAD and provided to me. If you did get in contact with me back then, please shoot a message. Would love to properly credit you for this effort and the work that you have provided in this project. And that's about it. Is a little piece extra to the Gundam 00 A-Laws Automaton. Another completed backlog item that's been half finished in storage for quite a number of years, and the very last project that I had printed from the Up Mini 3D printer. and I guess an end of an era that I'll never experience again from this point. Thank you very much for watching. As always, until next time, stay tuned for further content. Really enjoyed this project. Lots more 3D printing stuff well after this, as well as on this channel currently, and we'll catch you guys next time. Stay tuned for more and catch out all the description, reference materials and links to social medias. See you later.